Right. Previous video we discussed what is chemical reaction or chemical change. Let us, after this discussion, there will be one question arises in our mind. What is that question arises in our mind is, how do we come to know the chemical reaction takes place, or how do we come to know a chemical change takes place, how we can understand the chemical reaction takes place or the chemical change takes place, right? So from the discussion we have to understand that one or one or more substances are combined or involved in chemical change, a new substance is formed. So from that, how we can understand is really chemical change takes place or not? How do we know? How would we know that chemical reaction takes place or not? Let us discuss characteristics. Characteristics are features. Characteristics are features of chemical reaction. Characteristics of chemical reaction. By understanding these characteristics, we can easily know the chemical reaction takes place or not. Takes place or not. So as we know, in a chemical reaction, the new substance is formed because the reactants are converted into products, into new substance. That new substance are called products, right? The conversion of reactants into products in a chemical reaction, while what we can say, reactants are converted into products, some changes are happened. We are able to understand, we are able to observe those changes, changes while a chemical reaction is takes place. As a result of chemical reaction, as a result of chemical change, the following characteristics are features. Let us know the important characteristics. Let us know the important characteristics or important features of a chemical reaction. That means, how would we conclude a chemical reaction takes place or not? The first one is evolution of gas. Evolution of gas. That means, if a chemical reaction takes place, a gas may be produced. Then the second one, a precipitate may form. A precipitate may form. Some insoluble solid substance may be formed during a chemical reaction. Then change in color takes place. Change in color takes place. Then change in temperature. Change in temperature takes place. And also change in state. And also change in state takes place. So these are the important features or important characteristics of chemical reaction. That means when a chemical reaction takes place, one of the change we have to observe, one or two changes we have to observe during a chemical reaction. In a chemical reaction, maybe a gas is produced, maybe a precipitate is formed, maybe there is a change in the color takes place, maybe change in temperature takes place, maybe change in the state takes place. Maybe change in the state takes place. For example, if iron, if you're mixing two substances, if we mix the two substances, a gas is evolved. Then we can say that a chemical reaction has takes place. For example, let us understand each feature or each characteristic with example. The first one is evolution of gas. Evolution of a gas or liberating a gas or a gas is produced. Right, let us know some of the chemical reactions. In case of some chemical changes or in case of some chemical reactions, a gas may be produced. For example, carbon, nothing but charcoal or wood. When we burn the wood, when we heat or when we burn the wood in the presence of oxygen, it gives carbon dioxide. It gives carbon dioxide. So here carbon dioxide is a gas. Carbon dioxide is a gas. We are able to see a smoke is produced, a colorless smoke, or sometimes we can call that a white color smoke is produced. White color smoke is produced, right? So carbon dioxide gas is produced during when a chemical reaction takes place between carbon and oxygen. Carbon and oxygen. Similarly, if we take zinc, metal piece of zinc in dilute hydrochloric acid. In dilute hydrochloric acid. So here, along with zinc chloride, hydrogen gas is produced. Hydrogen gas is produced. Hydrogen gas, hydrogen gas is produced. Hydrogen gas is produced. So this is called zinc chloride. Zinc chloride, and this is a hydrogen. This is hydrogen. So in a small beaker or in a conical flask, take a little quantity, for example 5 ml or maximum 10 ml. 10 ml of dilute hydrochloric acid in a conical flask. In a conical flask. Take 5 or 10 ml of dilute hydrochloric acid in the conical flask. Whenever we drop small piece of zinc metal in the solution, in the hydrochloric acid, some colorless gases are produced. Some colorless gases are produced. So that gases are nothing but hydrogen, but gases are nothing but how can we understand hydrogen gas is produced or not, right? Or we are able to see the fumes, we are able to see the smoke with our eyes. That means a gas is produced, we can easily understand that. You can easily understand that. To test hydrogen gas is produced or not, hydrogen gas is produced or not. When we bring the burning mastic, when we bring the burning mastic near the mouth of the conical flask, near the mouth of the conical flask, the burning mastic is put off with a pop sound. That pop sound indicates hydrogen gas. So finally, we can understand that in some of the chemical changes or chemical reactions, a gas may be evolved. A gas may be evolved. Right. Then the second one. Uh, the reaction between sodium carbonate and dilute hydrochloric acid, also a gas is produced. That gas is nothing but carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide. Then coming to the next one. Coming to the next one. That is a precipitate is formed. Formation. Formation of precipitate. Formation of precipitate. Let us know what is meant by a precipitate. What is meant by a precipitate? A precipitate is a solid product. A solid product. A solid product. A solid product which separate out, which separate which separate out from the solution, from the solution, from the solution during a chemical, during a chemical reaction, during a chemical reaction. It is insoluble. It is insoluble in water or the solution. Insoluble or in water or the solution. The formed substance, the new substance cannot dissolve in the solution or in the solution which is formed during a chemical reaction. During a chemical reaction. For example, for example, this is some solution. This is a some solution. In this, if I add some sand or if I add some chalk powder, if I add some chalk powder, then what will happen? Is the chalk powder or the sand is dissolves in this particular solution or not? No, it cannot dissolve. Right. So if I add in this solution a dust, some dust is added here. If a dust is added here, do you observe that all the dust particles are settle down in the bottom, in the bottom of the bottom of the beaker or bottom of the glass. Similarly, if I take piece of chalk and if I drop it into the solution, what will happen? It won't be dissolved in the solution. It won't be dissolved in solution. So such kind of substance is formed, such kind of solution is formed during a chemical reaction. During a chemical reaction, such substance is called precipitate. Such substance is called precipitate. For example, simply, right, add some sand or soil into the water. Try to mix the soil into the water. The soil won't mix the soil into the water, so it form settle down the bottom of the container, which can easily separate out, from the solution. So, in any chemical reaction, if any insoluble solids insoluble solid substance is formed, solid substance is formed so what will happen here? Will happen that the insoluble solid substance is called precipitate. Is called precipitate. For example, barium sulfate. Sorry, barium chloride plus sodium sulfate. Sodium sulfate. Barium chloride plus barium chloride plus sodium sulfate. So barium chloride formula. This is a barium chloride. Barium chloride plus sodium sulfate. Sodium sulfate. Sodium sulfate reacted together, it gives barium sulfate plus sodium chloride. So this is barium sulfate, barium sulfate, and this is sodium chloride, sodium chloride. So when the reaction takes place between sodium chloride and sodium chloride and the barium barium chloride sodium sulfate, two new substances are formed. One is barium sulfate, another one is sodium chloride. In this reaction, barium sulfate formed as a precipitate, formed as a precipitate. So sulfuric acid, barium chloride, so whatever. Then in insoluble solid substance, insoluble solid substance is formed. Insoluble solid substance is formed. That insoluble solid substance is called precipitate, is called precipitate. Similarly, lead nitrate and potassium iodide. Lead nitrate, PbNO3 taken twice. So lead nitrate plus potassium iodide, potassium potassium iodide, potassium iodide. So it gives lead iodide and potassium nitrate, lead iodide, lead iodide and potassium potassium nitrate, potassium nitrate is formed. Here we observed that so, yellow precipitate of lead iodide is formed. Yellow precipitate of lead iodide is formed. That means, so PbNO3 taken twice, lead nitrate, potassium iodide together, combined together, lead iodide PbI2 plus potassium nitrate. Potassium nitrate is formed. Here, lead iodide is formed as a precipitate, formed as precipitate. Okay, this is let yellow precipitate is formed during this chemical reaction, during this chemical reaction. So two changes are takes place, two changes are discussed. One is evolution of gas, a precipitate may be formed, a precipitate may be formed. The other one is change in color, change in color. So many times change in color takes place, many times change in color of change in color. Third one, change in color. Change in color. The third characteristic is change in color. Some chemical reactions are characterized by change in color. Change in color. So, for example, if you take copper sulfate, generally it is blue in color. It is blue in color. It is blue in color on heating. On heating. So it is blue in color. On heating, it turns into colorless. Turns into colorless. So white, it become white. Or so when this copper sulfate is dissolves in water, when copper sulfate is dissolves in water, CuSO4, aqueous solution, aqueous solution, blue in color. For this, if we add any piece of iron, it forms iron sulfate plus copper. Iron sulfate plus copper. Here, the blue color copper sulfate solution is changed into pale blue or green, pale blue or green. So by adding iron to copper sulfate, the blue color copper sulfate changes into green iron sulfate. Iron sulfate. So if a chemical reaction takes place, if a chemical reaction takes place, what will happen? There will be a change. There will be a change takes place in the color. Similarly, sulfur dioxide gas and acidified potassium dichromate solution. So there will be change in the color. And when citric acid is added to potassium permanganate, which is purple in color. Potassium permanganate solution is purple in color. When we add citric acid, then the purple color potassium permanganate is cut, become colorless, like blue colors copper sulfate solution is green converted into green. So in any chemical reaction or in some chemical reactions or chemical changes, there will be a change in the color of solution. There will be change in color of solution. So we have completed evaluation of gas, precipitation, change in color, then change in state, change in state. So there is a possible to change in the state. Some chemical reactions are characterized. Some chemical reactions are characterized by change in the state. For example, when wax is burnt in the wax candle, in the form of wax candle, then water and carbon dioxide are formed. Then the water and carbon dioxide is formed. Similarly, here carbon is a solid, oxygen is a gas. Here also gas only. So carbon react with oxygen, convert into carbon dioxide. So solid gas forms gas. Here when hydrogen and oxygen combine together, it gives us water. It gives us water. So hydrogen is a gas, oxygen is also gas, but water is a liquid. But water is a liquid. Again, there is a change in the gas. Change into liquid. Gases convert into liquid. Gases convert into liquid. Right? So, for example, salt or sugar, they are solids. They are crystalline solids. When they are dissolves in water, they become into solution. They become into solution. Solids converted into liquid. So, in some chemical reaction, there is a chance a solid chemical substance is converted into liquid, a liquid converted into gas. There are some chemical reactions which show more than one character. For example, zinc granules and dilute hydrochloric acid. So in this reaction, zinc is a solid, hydrochloric acid is liquid. Here it forms liquid, right? But it is a gas. But it is a gas. Two changes are takes place. So in a chemical reaction, there is a chance to change the state of substance. Solid may convert into liquid, liquid may convert into gas, like this. Change in the state of substance takes place. So, evolution of gas we discuss, a precipitate may formed also discuss, change in the color we discuss, and change in the state we discussed. Right? Next, we have to discuss change in temperature and how can make a chemical equation or a chemical reaction more and more informative.